All right, so I was thinking of CB4 because he's parodying rap uh, bands, and they're trying to like find their groove. And one of them is like a Black Power band, and he's got like, this was back in the '90s when they were really into African symbology, and now they're not, which is kind of funny. There's like this division between American blacks and African blacks, and they don't refer to them as African blacks. They have some other, I don't know. They keep splitting themselves off. But back in CB4, the guy's like singing like all these different types, and he's like, I'm blackity black yellow. He's got the African jewelry and whatnot, and wearing a dashiki or the headgear. And I'm thinking about that movie, and God, any movie pretty much made back then. Could you make CB4 today? Could you make drinking the juice in the hood? And I remember like one of those movies had a scene where Elvis, some like the Vegas style Elvis was dead, and they go, he's still dead. And I look at them like, this doesn't fit the movie. What's the deal with this? And for like, why would they give a shit about Elvis one way or the other? And like, oh, they think he stole music. Oh, so like, what songs did he steal? Like, you never get an answer to that. People just believe the dumbest shit because nobody ever points out or asks incisive questions like, how do you know that? And they go, I don't know, but I just know it. It's like, okay, well, you don't really know something. So if you want to and the thing is with movies, you're not getting any good movies like ever again. It's not just stuff like CV4 with Chris Rock or somebody, Chris somebody. Any movies, like any kind of comedy that poke fun in all directions, that ship has sailed. Instead, you get, well, what you got in the past 5 years, that as it accelerates into just the gayest, wokest, race swap garbage, pushing gay dads with an adopted kid, or not adopted, they probably paid someone, the baby farmed her, and like, where's the mom in the what was it, the Element movie? That's just kind of the direction of Hollywood. It's just like, that's the future. It's just going to be a yeast infection. So if you want to drive a certain segment of Twitter insane, call all dark-skinned people globally black and pretend not to understand why they get so outraged over that. And it's even people who are, because the American blacks own that term, I guess. I think they trademarked it. Even people who have darker skin than them, it's like people will just take over ownership over the things you can't own, like white or black. That's why I don't even use those terms. I don't even use white because it's like it doesn't mean anything. You're referring to people of European descent. It's like, just say you're European. There's Japanese who have fair skin. Are they white? It's like, well, no. For them, for a lot of the woke people, things only work one way. So basically the only thing that matters to the globalists is erasing the fair-skinned people of the light. And there's more to the story than that. But like this one image that you've seen on bounding into comics articles forever, of the juxtaposition of like, what they're doing here. The original character is on the right, blue-haired, fair-skinned, wearing I don't know, it's a weird dress, huge milkers, and then that this is the live-action remake. It's like, oh, of course she's black, or here she's not black, she's Indian or something, but you would be forgiven if you just saw this one image and thought she was like sub-Saharan black. If you look at other pictures, she's actually not quite as dark, but obviously she's too dark for the character, and even saying that drives the left wing. The core is of this is just anti-white hatred by these filthy parasites here at Netflix, but really Netflix, Disney, Amazon, it's all the same kind of thing. So if the physical depiction of the character didn't matter, they wouldn't change it. They're lying. We know they're lying. They know that we know. The character is fair-skinned with these huge milkers. The actor is, well, black skin color, very dark. I don't know how you'd refer to that. The point is, she doesn't look anything like the artist's original depiction, who looks more like Sydney Sweeney. If she lost, she'd have to lose like 20 pounds for the role. But other than that, I mean, she would kind of fit the role better than this Indian girl. And they're saying that, well, the creator doesn't care. If he wanted her black, he would have started with her black. Of course he cares, because the actual original artist's intent is on the right. So he doesn't care because he has no choice. And he might not like super care. He just did what he had to do to sell something at the time. Netflix probably takes them aside and go, here, we have some ideas for the show. We have some upgrade. Tom Cruise was it talking to Steven Spielberg? Was that Wayne's World Part 2 or something? He got paid. So that's, it's like it's a cartoon. It's an anime. Netflix came along, they paid him, and that takes a lot of artistic integrity and just throws it out the window. And, I would be curious to see, like, what if they do something like this, and what if the artist who you'd have to own your own IP entirely, and if you go, no, it's got to look like the comic, and like a Netflix person so rarely hears that, if ever hears that, I don't know what they would be shocked to hear somebody say, no, the characters are fair skinned, they have to be fair skinned. And in Netflix's mind, they go, so like get in Egyptian or something? And the Netflix is looking for the darkest one possible. And if the artist said, no, they've got to look like the characters. They have to be the lightest skinned, fairest characters to fit the artist's original intent. And I just don't think, Netflix would pick it up. I don't think any mainstream company would pick it up. And it sounds crazy. You go, if you made this look like the original, you would sell it 10 times as much. If Rings of Power, or what was that other one? The Jordan books, the long series of Jordan books, Robert Jordan or something. I forget what his books were called, the fantasy. But on both those things, Rings of Power and the I don't know what those, I don't say War of the Worlds, whatever, were made to look like the originals, they would be hugely popular. Instead, nobody watched either one of those. Tolkien's, Amazon's version, or Robert Jordan's versions, because they race swapped all the characters. It's like they're deliberately throwing money away, and they don't give a shit. So this is how the model works. You're wondering, well, why didn't you just make the characters dark to begin with? Dark skin to begin with, at least in an anime, because it would not have sold as well. They do this all the time, and they pretend the color choice is totally irrelevant, and they go, oh, it's just kind of happenstance that all the characters weren't black to start with. It's just a weird artistic quirk, as if the artist could have easily made everyone dark and everything would sell the same. It would have the same impact. It wouldn't. That's insane that people pretend to believe this stuff, because not enough people are comfortable being politically incorrect. And the other problem is we don't have platforms upon which to disseminate these ideas of political incorrectness. That's why Google bought YouTube, to tightly control the narrative. The way something is originally created is the original intention of the artist. It can be games, comics, stories, anything from The Witcher to Willow are good examples. If you remember that remake of Willow bombed because everyone was like, just weird mixes. I don't know if I can say that. Just like, I don't want to say it. So this is the bait and switch. Like, people want Dobermans, and they want German Shepherds, and they want Chihuahuas and whatnot. They don't want to mix those, because then it creates something else. And with Willow, you want the original setting. It's, if I remember right, it feels like it was set in some kind of European fantasy village setting. It's like, yikes, my guy, what does it matter? Well, then, if it didn't matter, why'd you fucking change it? Obviously it matters. This is the bait and switch they keep doing. And people who think woke is on its way out, no, please point me to some examples at big budget level where woke is on its way out. Movies have not turned around at all. They start with an original story, Willow or Lord of the Rings, and they set it in some European setting, and then they remake it with non-European, the Afro elves and the Afro hobbits, so it looks abso-fucking-lutely ridiculous, and that's literally propaganda. And then the left-wing kids, they strawman, well, skin color doesn't matter, and they love that term, skin color. Except race is much more than skin deep. That is the smallest component of the multifacets that go into making up what a person is. That is the core of what an individual is their ethnicity and race. Imagine these networks that connect across space and backwards through time. That is the person. People are not fungible, but communists have to, this guy just writes just jerking himself off with a virtue signal. People, the left wing has to pretend, and some of the normie right wing pretends that people are fungible. It's like it's their culture. You go, culture's downstream from race, so just stop saying culture. It's race or ethnicity. Like just stop with this penultimate. They pull away from the edge and they just start cucking about people need dads. It's like it wouldn't make that much of a difference. Communists have to pretend that people are fungible. It's like, well, how well is that worked out? They say race is a social construct, except it's been studied and quantified for hundreds of years. The left just repeats the dumbest shit they hear from. They just repeat things. It can be universities, which are run by filthy globalist parasites, or mainstream media, or their idiot friends, because they're never challenged on their ideas because people have been scared away from being politically incorrect. The character here is thin, white, with huge milkers. It's not that hard to find somebody in Hollywood who can play that role. And then they say, well, it's not important. But even outside the culture war, it actually is, because race connects with a network that goes back millions of years. Things refer to other things, and it forms this interconnected mesh of what a character is. And if you cut that out, you've created something rootless. You created something that needs a new story to develop it. Again, because people are not fungible. If it really didn't matter, everyone would be Northern and Western European. Scandinavians are probably the best looking people, because people are attracted to blonde hair, blue eyed types, red hair, green eyed, because it's and I say that because you look at successful characters, and that's what they look like. They're looking like a Swedish bikini team Budweiser commercial from 1984. And even Asians value the fair, true diversity of Europa, because they use these fair characters in their anime and their manga so often. They don't use, not too often, Japanese characters, because white is rare and brown is not. So naturally, people are gonna idealize and gravitate to the rare, beautiful European people. Representation doesn't make sense when European people are 7% of the world's population and the non-whites are almost indistinguishable from each other. They have the same hair, same eyes, brown skin. There's a meme going around. It shows the true diversity, and it shows European hair and eye color, and then it shows the rest of the world, and it's like the narrative, the propaganda has been so ubiquitous, so saturated for so long that all you have to do is, who is that? Bernays on advertising, talking about the core of advertising is repetition of the message, where they talk about people of color and diversity, and you look at the European people and you go those are those people. You've picked the wrong term. These words don't make sense, but that's how you can gaslight people. You just keep repeating a message, and not enough people go, oh, this is stupid. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And left-wing people gasp. You can't tell them that. It's very offensive. That is as Bush said, the soft bigotry of lowered expectations. So if you create characters, you want them to pop off the screen and look distinct from each other, which is impossible to do if they're brown. But once they make an original story, it's successful, and there's, 100 examples over the past how many years. And then they actually did it with the original Lord of the Rings as well, when they came back and made The Hobbit, and all of a sudden you see, well, they changed the story to have different relationships. Miscegenation, I think they were pushing, because there was a hobbit with an elf or something weird. I don't think that was in the book. And then I remember watching that, and then there's some black lady in the village, which was not in the Lord of the Ring universe at all, and it's not in the earlier Peter Jackson movies. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? It's that was the beginning of them going fully mask off, where up until then Lord of the Rings had been hands off. The original Peter Jackson goes, hey, we want to keep this and I'm as original as possible, the artist's original intent, and I'm sure he had a fight with whoever was funding that funding those movies. I know that didn't go easily, but if they had race swapped Lord of the Rings right from the start, it wouldn't have been the success that it was, because people are familiar with the books. So what they do is you've got a successful original. It doesn't matter the original format. Then they know that, oh, we've got something. We have bait ability, so we can race swap, and we'll get you in on with the name recognition. And then if people go, this doesn't look like the original characters, they'll go, oh, what, are you racist? Racism isn't real. It's like a root user control command line term. It's like a superstructure matrix term, a signaling term to control people, and people don't understand that because all these hot words have been, what's the word I'm looking for? Saturated, inculcated, propagated for 100 years almost through globalist media to get people to accept these terms as real. And it's hard to look at a term and go, wait a minute, this isn't used like language is ordinarily used. This is something different. This is a word above other language words where it's not referring to things or ideas. It's a control term. This is something language hasn't had. It's something new in language. It's some kind of threat. It needs a new definition, this type of language. I don't know enough about the structure of language to know what these words are. And the problem is you're not going to see anyone studying these kind of manipulative terms, these Pavlovian words, because it's not politically correct to get a PhD and write, yeah, racism isn't actually real. The concept as it's used. It's like nobody would award you that PhD, and the professors just wouldn't work with you on your dissertation. Like, none of this stuff would happen. There's no funding for this kind of thing because the pressure against it. The last person to do study, I think, race and IQ was this a Japanese professor, and the American globalists back in the 80s and 90s had enough influence to pressure the Japanese to get this professor to stop. This was like 30 or 40 years ago. It's absolutely, I sound like Nick Fuentes, absolutely bizarre. Anyway, I did, for the first time in years, I listened to that Fuentes guy the other night, and I got to say, the guy was on fire. He did a great stream. Anyway, they changed the original. If you change something to change the message, that's the definition of propaganda. And if they want to push their globalist anti-whiteism, then they should just write their own story, write a fresh story, nucleate and propagate your own thing. But they can't, because evil can't create, but also because it would be propaganda from the start, and you wouldn't have that bait and switch effect. You would have to sell something organically, originally, that is propaganda, and people will look at it, and they look at, every once in a while movies and comics and stuff will come out and do something like that. It's like it just doesn't go anywhere. Hey, it's a bunch of different colored people all getting along and holding hands, and people look at reality, and it's like, this doesn't have verisimilitude. It's like the elf quest effect. The thing is, people want white characters. They want European characters. They value them probably because they're rare. Just say like one character, one people are better looking than another people. How do you objectively? I don't think you can say that other than like, I know there's the analysis of beauty with symmetry, something like that. But then the other method is rarity. Like, what makes things more valuable than other things? You've got like two equally attractive stones with the same index of refraction or whatnot. And which one's more valuable? It's going to be the one that's rare. And the other properties don't really matter. And it's like, that's why the blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl is at the top of the food chain. That's why Lord of the Rings, like how many U.S. presidents literally had blue eyes? Anyway, people value white people, and how well have these race swaps worked? Not well at all. And this is probably going to go down the same path. Like, people on social media are looking at this and go like, yeah, okay, thanks for this, we're done with it. It's like people are just. How well is Star Wars, the Disney Star Wars streaming, where everyone was, I think, non-white, or way too much girl power, way too much like 40-year-old women running around with kids. I remember that one scene, and then a bunch of non-white characters, and you look at the original Star Wars trilogy and you're like, yeah, this is pretty well a white universe. Why wouldn't you just keep it like Lucas's original intent, which was, woke for the time. You had what's his face in it, who everyone liked, and they go, yeah, we're not going to do that. But the Disney stuff you're putting out is absolutely bombing. You're just burning money. Like, Yeah, they don't give a shit about money. They give a shit about the message. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.